The colony ship Solace Dawn drifted in orbit around Epsilon 3, a pale moon circling a red giant star. From space, the surface looked dead, just endless dust plains, craters, and black ridges of frozen rock. But Commander Rhett Darien had learned something during his years of exploration. Silence did not always mean emptiness. When the scanners detected faint energy pulses under the moon's surface, the crew assumed it was a glitch. But Rhett didn't. He had a feeling, that quiet kind of gut feeling explorers learned to trust. So he ordered a landing. The landing bay doors opened and dry wind rushed across the silver suits of the human team. The world around them was silent, only the hum of their helmets breaking the calm. Far away, low mountains shimmered under the dim light, and in between them something half-buried caught Rhett's eye, an outline of geometric stone shapes. "Ruins," said Lieutenant Mira, adjusting her scanner. "Man-made, or alien-made." The team moved carefully toward the site. The air was thin, breathable for short times, but filled with a strange static like invisible dust that made the skin tingle. Their boots sank into fine gray sand. The ruins were older than anything they had seen before. Vast doors carved into black stone, covered in faint glowing lines that pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. "Something's active here," Rhett said, brushing his gloved hand against a carved wall. The symbols lit up brighter, then faded. "Let's go inside." They stepped into the dark chamber, their suit lights cutting through shadows. The air felt heavy, almost like it was pressing on their chests. They passed broken columns, collapsed bridges, and a giant circular hall filled with unknown machines. Some of the machines still hummed faintly, powered by an energy source they couldn't identify. Mira's scanner beeped suddenly. "Commander, there's movement," she said quietly. "About 30 meters ahead." Rhett raised his light, sweeping it across the chamber. For a moment, nothing. Then a shimmer, a shape almost invisible, like light bending around something that shouldn't be there. He froze. "Who's there?" he said, voice echoing softly. "We're not here to harm you," no reply. Just the faint sound of static and shifting sand. Then the shimmer moved and quick, nervous like a frightened animal. Rhett took one step closer. "Wait," Mira said. But Rhett had already moved forward. He saw the air ripple again, then the shape stumbled. The shimmer fell to the ground with a soft thud, and the distortion collapsed. A young woman lay there. She looked human, perfectly human, but her body was wrapped in strange, translucent panels that flickered like liquid glass. Her hair was pale silver, short and tangled. Her skin glowed faintly under the soft light. Her eyes were closed, and her breathing was weak. Rhett knelt beside her, motioning for Mira to scan. "She's alive," Mira said. "Heart rate low. No external injuries, but her biology's different. She's not fully human." Rhett studied her face for a long moment. She looked like she had been hiding for a very, very long time. "Let's get her to the ship," he said. They brought her aboard the Solace Dawn and placed her in the med bay. Hours passed before she stirred. When she finally opened her eyes, the room was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Rhett was sitting nearby reading her vital data on a screen. Her silver eyes flicked to him, startled, uncertain. She pulled the blanket closer to her body as if to hide herself. "You're safe," Rhett said gently. "You collapsed in the ruins." "We didn't mean to scare you," she didn't answer. Her gaze moved to the walls, then to the window showing Epsilon 3's barren landscape. After a long silence, she whispered, "You shouldn't have found me." Her voice was soft, almost too soft, but filled with something that sounded like guilt. "Why?" Rhett asked quietly. "I was not supposed to be seen," she said, turning her face away. I don't belong anymore." Rhett frowned. "You look human." "You are human." She shook her head slowly. "Not fully. Not since the change." Her hand brushed the side of her neck where faint markings glowed under her skin, the same patterns they had seen on the alien walls. Mira, standing behind Rhett, gasped softly. "The symbols," she whispered. "They're identical." The girl saw Mira's reaction and quickly pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders. "Please don't look at me," she said. "It's shameful." "Shameful?" Rhett asked. "For being alive?" She didn't answer. Instead, tears gathered in her strange glowing eyes, and she looked down at her hands that shimmered faintly, as though light itself refused to leave her skin. Over the next few hours, Rhett tried to talk to her gently, patiently. She gave her name, Lyra. That was all she was willing to share at first. She avoided eye contact, kept to herself, and whenever someone tried to touch the shimmering panels around her, the air seemed to distort slightly, as if reality itself didn't know where she began or ended. She stayed mostly silent, but Rhett noticed small things. The way she flinched when the ship's engines roared, the way she avoided mirrors, the way she would trace symbols on the walls of her room with trembling fingers. When Rhett brought her food, she would only take small bites as if she wasn't sure she deserved to eat. Later that night, Rhett sat in the command deck reviewing the data from the ruins. The alien structure had been dormant for millions of years, but the energy readings where they found Lyra were recent, less than a year old. She activated something, Mira said, pointing to the chart. Or something activated her. Rhett leaned back in his chair, thoughtful. She said she doesn't belong anymore. Maybe she was human once, and those ruins changed her somehow. Changed? Mira asked. Look at the markings, Rhett said. They match the alien patterns exactly. Maybe she's the link between their world and ours? Mira frowned. Commander, if that's true, what if she's dangerous? Rhett shook his head. No, I saw her eyes. She's afraid of herself more than anything else. The next morning, Rhett visited Lyra again. She sat by the window watching Epsilon 3 slowly rotate below. Her cloak of shimmering panels hung loosely, no longer active. He walked closer, careful not to startle her. Do you want to talk about what happened to you? He asked softly. She hesitated, then nodded slightly. There was a research colony here, she said slowly. A long time ago. Humans came to study the ruins, the same ones you found. They thought they could unlock the technology that built them. But the ruins, they're alive in a way. They read us. They try to understand what we are. She took a deep breath. They tried to merge with us. I was one of the test subjects. The others didn't survive. I did, but I became this. She touched the faint glowing lines on her arm. Half human, half machine, half something else. I don't know what to call it. I can hear the ruins sometimes like whispers in the back of my mind. Rhett listened quietly. No judgment. No fear, so you hid, he said gently. She nodded. Yes, I didn't want the others to see me like this. They said I was a mistake. I believed them, so I ran. The ruins helped me hide. They built a field around me, bending light, sound, even thought. I was invisible. Until you came. Rhett took a slow breath. Lyra, no one is a mistake. You survived something no human ever could. That's not shame. That's strength. She looked at him for a long moment, confused, as if she didn't understand the meaning of his words. You don't hate me? Why would I? Rhett said simply. You're proof of what we always believed. That humanity adapts. We survive, even when the universe tries to erase us. You're part of that story now. For the first time she smiled, small, fragile, but real. The silver in her eyes flickered softly, like starlight. Later that day, the ship's sensors picked up something strange. A pulse from deep within the ruins. The same energy signature that had surrounded Lyra when they found her. It was getting stronger. Rhett stood beside her as the ship's alarms began to flash. Lyra, he said, do you know what that is? She looked at the data on the screen, then at him. It's calling me, she said quietly. The ruins know I'm awake again. Rhett's expression hardened, not with fear, but determination. Then we'll answer that call together. Lyra looked at him, her voice trembling. You would go back? Even after what you saw? Rhett smiled faintly. You said the ruins tried to understand humanity. Maybe it's time we try to understand them. And maybe they need someone who's both. Lyra stared at him for a long moment, and in her eyes the shame that had once clouded her began to fade, replaced by something new. Hope. The Solace Dawn hovered above Epsilon 3, its engines humming softly as the red giant bathed the moon in dull light. Lyra stood at the observation window, her hands pressed against the glass. Below, the ruins stretched endlessly, dark and silent, yet pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Rhett approached quietly. You've been quiet all morning, he said. Lyra didn't turn. I can feel them, she whispered. The ruins. They are alive. They are waiting, Rhett nodded. He had learned to trust her words. Humanity had always been brave, exploring the unknown, seeking knowledge and meeting the universe with open hands instead of weapons. That courage was exactly what this moment required. We'll go back, Rhett said. I need to understand, and so do you. But first I need you to tell me everything you remember. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. She led him to a quiet chamber in the ship, where the soft hum of the engines would not distract her. She sat on the floor, legs crossed, and let out a deep breath. It started when I was part of the research team, she began. The humans who came before you, they thought these ruins were abandoned. They wanted to study the energy, the symbols, the machines, but the ruins. They didn't just sit there. They watched. They learned. Rhett leaned closer. Learned what? They learned us, she said, eyes downcast. Our minds, our bodies, our fears, our hopes. They were curious. They could sense our thoughts. When the experiment began, the ruins merged some of us with their energy patterns. Some humans couldn't survive the process, but I changed. I became something new. Rhett's heart pounded. This was not just a story of survival. This was proof of humanity's adaptability. Lyra had faced the unknown and had become a bridge between human and alien intelligence. And the hiding? Rhett asked. Why conceal yourself for so long? I was afraid, Lyra said softly. Afraid of what humans would think. Afraid of what I had become. The others called me a mistake. I believed them. So I ran, and the ruins protected me. They made me invisible. I was alone. Until you found me. Rhett reached out, placing a hand near hers, careful not to touch the shimmering panels that still flickered lightly on her skin. Lyra, you are not a mistake. You are proof of human strength. The ability to survive, adapt, and rise above fear. You are exactly the kind of human we need. Lyra looked up at him. For the first time, her eyes were steady, shining not with shame, but with curiosity and hope. Do you really mean that? I do, Rhett said firmly. We're going back. Together. You're not alone anymore. By the next cycle, the Solace Dawn had descended closer to the ruins. The crew prepared carefully, ensuring that Lyra's unique abilities could help them navigate safely. The energy readings pulsed stronger now, almost like the ruins were alive and aware of their presence. Lyra's panels glimmered as she stepped onto the moon's surface. Her footsteps were light, but every movement seemed to resonate with the ruins. Where she walked, the energy patterns shifted slightly, like the ruins recognized her. The chamber they had first discovered was different now. The symbols on the walls glowed more vividly. Machines that had been silent for centuries now hummed softly, responding to Lyra's presence. She's controlling them, Mira whispered, eyes wide. No, Rhett corrected gently. She's communicating with them. Not controlling, not yet. Just understanding. Lyra approached one of the larger machines, a circular platform etched with intricate symbols. She knelt and touched the surface, closing her eyes. The panels on her arms flickered and a soft hum filled the chamber. Symbols floated off the walls, forming patterns in the air. Rhett watched silently, feeling awe mixed with hope. Humanity had always faced the unknown with courage. Lyra was proof that even when the universe seemed impossible, humans could rise, adapt, and thrive. After a moment, Lyra opened her eyes. The ruins. They are not dangerous. They don't want to harm us. They want to share knowledge, to understand life, to see what makes humans human. Mira looked doubtful. But the experiments, the others didn't survive. How can you be sure it won't happen again? Lyra smiled faintly. Because I survived. And the ruins learned from me. They recognize my choices, my mind. They won't force anyone else to change. Rhett nodded. Then we have a chance. We can learn and maybe help humanity reach a new understanding. Hours passed as they explored deeper into the ruins. Lyra guided them, revealing corridors that seemed hidden from sensors and walls that shifted subtly when approached. At each turn, she traced the symbols, whispering softly in a language no human had spoken for millennia. And each time, the walls and machines responded, glowing with knowledge. Finally, they reached a vast chamber at the center. The floor was a mosaic of lights like a star map, and at the center floated a translucent orb pulsing with energy. Lyra stepped closer, eyes wide. This is it, she whispered. The heart of the ruins. Everything we saw, all the energy, it comes from here. Rhett studied the orb. It's beautiful. And it's alive? Lyra nodded. It reacts to life, to thought, to choice. It is aware of us, but it does not judge. It simply observes and learns. She extended her hand toward the orb. A soft glow enveloped her, her panels flickering with light. The energy of the ruins flowed into her, not as harm, but as understanding. Patterns formed around her fingers, connecting her mind to the orb. Rhett and Mira watched, holding their breath. Humanity had faced dangers before, but this was different. This was a first contact, not with hostile aliens, but with an intelligence beyond comprehension. And at the center of it was a human being who had survived, adapted, and could teach them how to bridge the gap. After a long moment, Lyra stepped back. "I understand now," she said softly. "The ruins. They do not want to erase life. They want to connect life, to share knowledge, to grow together." Rhett smiled. "And you are our bridge." Lyra looked at him, her glowing eyes steady and calm. "If humanity is willing to listen, to understand, I can help, but it must be our choice, not theirs. We cannot be forced. That is what I learned from hiding. From shame, choice is everything." Over the next few days, the crew worked with Lyra, mapping the ruins, learning the energy patterns, and understanding the symbols. Every discovery reinforced the HFY truth. Humanity could survive, adapt, and rise above fear and misunderstanding. Lyra taught them patience, curiosity, and respect, qualities that had allowed humans to thrive for millennia. The orb in the heart of the ruins pulsed brighter each day, resonating with the crew's presence. For the first time in centuries, the ruins were awake, not with hostility, but with connection. And Lyra, once concealed and ashamed, now stood at the center of it all, not as a mistake, but as a living symbol of humanity's resilience. At night, she would sit by the observation window, looking down at the ruins. Rhett would sometimes join her. "You're not hiding anymore," he said one evening. "No," she replied, her voice calm. "And I don't feel shame. I feel responsibility, to learn, to guide, to show that humans are capable of understanding, even when the universe seems impossible." Rhett nodded. "That is exactly what humanity is. We explore, we adapt, we survive, and sometimes we grow into something more than we imagined." Lyra smiled, a soft glow in her eyes. "Then I am human, and I am ready." The Solace Dawn was ready to leave the surface of Epsilon 3, carrying with it not only Lyra and the crew, but also a new understanding of humanity's potential. The ruins had been a test, a mirror, and a teacher. And humanity had passed not through strength alone, but through courage, compassion, and choice. Lyra looked back at the ruins one last time. She had once hidden in shame, afraid of what humans might think. Now she was part of something greater, a bridge between worlds, proof that humanity could rise, and a living testament to what it meant to survive, adapt, and grow. The heart of the ruins pulsed one last time, almost as if it acknowledged her presence, and the Solace Dawn lifted into orbit. Humanity had taken the first step toward a new future, not as conquerors, but as learners, explorers, and friends of the universe. And Lyra, once concealed and afraid, had become the symbol of what humans could achieve: courage, resilience, and the unyielding will to embrace the unknown. The Solace Dawn rose smoothly above Epsilon 3, carrying Lyra and the crew back into orbit. The red giant bathed the moon in soft orange light, and for the first time Lyra felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. The ruins below pulsed faintly, almost as if saying goodbye. Rhett stood beside her at the observation window. "It's not just goodbye," he said. "It's the beginning." Lyra looked at him. "The ruins, they are still alive. They will watch over this world, and they will remember me." "Yes," Rhett replied. "And you've shown them what humans are capable of: curiosity, compassion, understanding." "That's our greatest strength," she nodded, letting herself relax. For the first time since the experiments, she no longer felt shame. She had survived, she had adapted, and now she had a purpose. The journey back to the nearest human colony was long but filled with hope. Lyra spent her time teaching the crew what she had learned: the symbols, the energy flows, the patterns of the ruins. She explained how they could communicate with the alien intelligence without fear, showing that humanity could approach the unknown with respect instead of weapons. Mira, once skeptical, now looked at Lyra with admiration. "You've done what no human has ever done," she said one evening. "You've bridged worlds," Lyra smiled softly. "I only survived because the ruins allowed me to choose. That is what humans must always do. Choose even when it is difficult. Choice is what defines us." Rhett watched them both, feeling a surge of pride. Humanity had always faced the impossible. From the first steps on Earth to the first ships beyond the solar system, humans had always adapted, learned, and grown. Lyra was living proof that their courage could extend even into the unknown reaches of the universe. When the colony came into view, Lyra felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Humans had never seen someone like her before. Her panels still shimmered faintly, her markings glowing softly under her skin. But she no longer tried to hide. She had learned that fear and shame were not her own. They were what the past tried to impose on her. Rhett guided the Solace Dawn to the landing bay. People gathered as the ship touched down. Scientists, explorers, and engineers stared in awe at Lyra. Some whispered, others gasped, but all eyes were on her. Lyra took a deep breath. She stepped forward, showing herself fully. The shimmer from her panels reflected the light of the colony. And for the first time, she stood proud, not ashamed. A young scientist approached cautiously. Are you human?" she asked softly. Lyra smiled. "Yes, I am human. But I am also proof of what humans can become when we face the unknown with courage." The scientist nodded slowly. "We've never seen anything like this." "You will," Lyra said, her voice calm and strong. "And it will not be something to fear. It will be something to learn from. Humanity does not destroy. Humanity adapts. Humanity survives. And sometimes, humanity becomes something greater." The next days were filled with discovery and sharing. Lyra worked with scientists to teach them the alien symbols, showing how the energy of the ruins could be understood without harm. She guided engineers to create devices that could interact safely with the ruins, allowing humans to communicate with the ancient intelligence. The colony began to see a new future. Instead of fear of the unknown, there was curiosity. Instead of isolation, there was connection. Lyra had become a bridge not just between humans and the ruins, but between humanity's past and its limitless potential. Rhett watched one evening as Lyra stood alone, tracing patterns in the air with her fingers. The glow from her panels mirrored the soft stars above the colony. "You've come a long way," he said quietly. Lyra looked at him. "And humanity has even farther to go," she replied. "But if we continue to face the unknown with respect and courage, we will survive. We will thrive. We will grow." Rhett nodded. "That is exactly what humans do. We do not give up. We do not hide. We explore, we adapt. And we rise," Lyra smiled, a glow of hope in her eyes. "Then I'm ready to help them rise." Months passed, and the colony began sending messages back to Earth. Scientists reported strange energy readings on Epsilon 3, and messages hinted at breakthroughs in understanding alien intelligence. Lyra guided each report, ensuring the humans' curiosity was matched with wisdom. The ruins, once a place of fear and isolation, had become a center of learning. Its energy no longer hid Lyra. It amplified her presence, showing humans what could be achieved when courage and empathy guided their actions. One day, Rhett gathered the colony leaders. "Lyra has shown us something important," he said. "Humans do not need to dominate the universe to survive. Humans need to learn, to adapt, and to grow. She has become our guide. Not through power, but through understanding. That is our strength." Lyra stepped forward, her panels glowing faintly. "The ruins will continue to teach us," she said. "But humans must make their own choices. They must decide to be brave, compassionate, and curious. If they do, they can reach heights no one has imagined. That is what I learned. That is what I hope to show the universe." The leaders nodded, understanding that this was more than a lesson in technology. It was a lesson in humanity itself. Lyra often walked among the colony's children, teaching them the symbols of the ruins in a way they could understand. She showed them that curiosity was a gift, that learning was courage, and that kindness could bridge worlds. A small boy tugged at her hand one day. "Will the ruins like us?" he asked. Lyra knelt down, smiling gently. "The ruins already see you. They will learn from you, and you will learn from them. That is what humans do best. We do not run from the unknown. We grow with it." The boy smiled and ran off, eager to explore. Lyra watched him, realizing that the shame and fear she had once carried had no place here. She was no longer hiding. She was teaching. She was human. She was proof that humanity could rise above its doubts and reach the stars. Years later, Lyra became a symbol of hope across human colonies. Her story was shared everywhere. A human who faced the unknown, survived impossible trials, and taught others to embrace courage and curiosity. She had once concealed herself in shame, but now she stood proud, a living testament to what humans could achieve. Red often watched her from the observation deck, smiling. Humanity had always faced impossible challenges. They had survived plagues, disasters, and wars. But now, with Lyra's guidance, they had learned to face the universe itself, not with fear but with hope. Lyra turned to Rhett one evening. "Do you think we are ready?" she asked. He looked out at the stars. "We are, because humans do not give up. We do not hide, we rise. And we always will." Lyra smiled, the glow of her panels blending with the starlight outside. She was no longer hidden. She was not ashamed. She was human, and she was ready. The ruins of Epsilon 3 pulsed faintly below, no longer a secret, no longer a trap. They had become a teacher, a guide, and a friend. And humanity, led by curiosity, courage, and hope, had learned to embrace the unknown, proving once again that they could survive, adapt, and thrive, even in the most distant reaches of the universe.